Welcome to Session 2, Module 1, entitled Female Genital Mutilation, Beliefs, Traditions, and Values. The module objectives include understanding why female genital mutilation is practiced, clarifying the meaning of traditions, values, and beliefs, learning how to question harmful traditions, and understanding the concept of values clarification. These objectives are addressed in the presentation outline as follows. We will start talking about the theories of FGM origins, FGM drivers, the meanings of beliefs, values, and traditions, explaining the concept of value clarification, and concluding in the end. There are several theories around FGM origins. It's thought to have started millions of years ago amongst the Stone Age people in Equatorial Africa. Others propose that its origin was during the 5th century in Egypt, as found as FGM type 3 that was explained in session 1, infibulation, was found in some mummies. Others theorize that FGM originated as part of slavery trade and was related to the selling price of girls. Whilst another theory claims that FGM originated independently among different groups and spread with adoption and assimilation due to population movement. So why is FGM practiced? FGM is a social norm. People perform it for social acceptance or fear of being rejected by the community. The FGM practice is supported by beliefs around acceptable sexual behavior for women to promote premarital virginity or marital infidelity thereafter. It's also performed because it's thought to be a religious rite or a rite of passage to womanhood, or performed for cultural ideals and around what is thought to be beautiful, feminine, or for purposes of cleanliness. Female genital mutilation is considered a tradition supported by several beliefs and values. What does this all mean? What do we mean by traditions, beliefs, and values? Well, beliefs are ideas, assumptions that are not necessarily shaped by facts. And these beliefs make up our guiding principles or our values to define what is important. And these values make up our opinions and attitudes towards this. If we take FGM, where we believe that FGM brings cleanliness, there are no facts supporting FGM leading to cleanliness. So therefore, those who perform and cleanliness is a positive value. So the values around FGM are positive, and that means if a girl undergoes FGM, we would have an opinion that she is clean, as opposed to one who has not undergone FGM, whom we think is dirty. So I'll go now step by step, going through the tradition, beliefs, and values. So let's start with traditions. So what is a tradition? A tradition can be beliefs, values, or learned habits passed through generations. They form part of the identity and is usually guarded by taboos and often not easy to change. We can categorize traditions into beneficial ones, into neutral ones, or harmful ones. And sometimes they could be a mix of both, beneficial and harmful. And it's always not easy to differentiate harmful from beneficial traditions. I'd like us to look at a few examples of good, neutral, and harmful traditions. If we look at the column of good, good traditions include respecting and caring for elders. So this is it's an action, it's a practice, meditation, giving gifts in occasions, visiting sick people, or providing condolences for those who lost loved ones. Neutral traditions, the middle column, include wearing white or black colored clothing during weddings or funerals, wearing charms in the hand or in the neck for luck or averting evil forces. While harmful traditions could be a value around some preference that leads to female infanticide or femicide, scarification, forced or early marriage, honor-based killing, and female genital mutilation. Can you think about good, neutral, or harmful traditions in your own culture? Please jot a few down. I'd like to go through a story called Tradition. So once upon a time, there was a kingdom known as the land of Zamba. The proud people here had deep-rooted traditions. One tradition was for the women of Zamba to be one-legged. One day, an old wise woman arrived in the land of Zamba. She wanted to know why women in Zamba had one leg. Some people explained that the great creator said that women would behave better if they had only one leg. Others told her that a woman with both legs was unable to bear a child. Yet others explained that a woman needed protection from herself, and somehow having one leg cut off helped. Some people told her that if one of the legs of a little girl was not cut off, it will grow, and before long it would become as big as a tree. But there was one very old woman in the land of Zampa who would remember how this habit started. A long time ago, she said, in the reign of Musa, the land of Zampa was enjoying a period of plenty, and there were great festivities. Each year, colorful exotic dance festivals were held to select the person who would be the ruler of the land. In those days, men and women competed equally, and the best dancer would be crowned. For 5 years, Musa won all the competitions. Then, a beautiful woman who could dance far better than Musa wanted to compete and become a leader. Musa got very worried, the old woman continued. He decided something had to be done. In desperation, he decided that all women should have one leg cut off. This seemed to solve his problem, for dancing on one leg put women out of competition. Musa was able to continue his reign for another 20 years. Ever since, the generations of Samba have followed this tradition handed down by their ancestors. The wise woman stood thinking for a while and then replied, I've known of many traditions, some good, some bad. As for this one, I'm not sure. Then she asked, Are women comfortable with this tradition? Oh no, said the old woman. We have so many difficulties carrying out our daily chores with one leg. But when it was ordered by Musa, everybody was afraid. Some said that you could only be beautiful with one leg. Others claimed you could only be clean with one leg. Many claimed a woman could only be pure with one leg. The wise woman was curious to know what the men had to say about all this. She discovered that men believed that not following the tradition would destroy family honor and dignity. Then the wise woman asked the rulers of the land if they might stop this bad tradition, but they were afraid to challenge such a deep-rooted tradition. Meanwhile, the land of Zamba was stricken by drought that became worse every year. Women found it difficult to work the land and help their community. It got worse. the people of Zamba began to question things. A few men and women were coming together to discuss what they could do to stop this bad tradition. As they talked among themselves, they discovered myths about the tradition. And as time went on, they gathered the strength to challenge these myths. But all this time there had been a spy among them who revealed their plans to the rulers. And so the guards came and took away the ringleaders. And that was the end of the effort of the people of Zamba to come together to stop this evil tradition. Little girls continue to be mutilated to this day. In fact, it has been going on for so long now that people just take it for granted. They've stopped questioning their tradition. Moving on to beliefs. So what is a belief? A belief is a conviction or an idea accepted as true or real, even without positive proof. Some beliefs are driven by religion, culture, or formed by experience or influence, or a mix of all these listed. Examples of beliefs are men should be served first and given the best portion of the meals, or FGM is a religious obligation. The following slides will describe the common beliefs and myths that surround FGM and how you as a health professional can respond to them. One such belief is that FGM is a religious mandate. FGM is not mentioned in religious texts such as the Quran or the Bible. In fact, many religious leaders think that this tradition should end and do not practice it on their girls. Another belief is that by removing the clitoris, girls will not have premarital sex. Your response could be, removing parts of the clitoris does not mean a girl cannot engage in premarital sex. Another belief is that FGM helps to ensure women's faithfulness, ensures women will not have extramarital sex. Well, marital faithfulness is based on personal commitment and respect, not due to genital cutting. Couples who share these values, regardless of women's FGM status, are more likely to remain faithful to each other. FGM can affect a woman's capacity to enjoy a healthy and pleasurable sexual relationship with her husband or partner. It may prevent both partners from having a fulfilling sex life, thereby damaging the marital relationship. Another belief is that if a girl is not cut, she will not find a husband and marry. Well, recent surveys show that men in many countries would like FGM to end. In fact, globally, 63% of boys and men would like FGM to end. The list of beliefs and myths around FGM continues. One belief says girls who do not have FGM cannot enter womanhood and become respectable women. Well, rites of passage can take many forms and need not be harmful or dangerous to a girl's health and well-being. In many cultures where FGM is not practiced, girls take part in different rites of passage to mark their entrance into womanhood and become respectable members of the community. Others believe that FGM is no different. They'll tell you it's no different from voluntary medical male circumcision. Male circumcision is the surgical removal of the foreskin, the fold of tissue that covers the head of the penis. It does not interfere with sexual function and pleasure. Evidence shows that VMNC, or voluntary medical male circumcision, reduces the risk of female-to-male sexual transmission of HIV, and WHO and the Joint United Nations Program on HIV/AIDS, UNAIDS, recommend VMMC as a strategy for preventing HIV among adult men. Another common belief around FGM is that it has health benefits. As a healthcare provider, your response would be that there is no medical indication for FGM. In fact, FGM can cause several health complications, some of which are quite life-threatening. Another belief is that if FGM is done by healthcare professionals, it does not have long-term physical damage or has less health complications. The response of health professionals should be that health complications of FGM arise in the short and long term, regardless of who does it. In fact, healthcare providers who do perform FGM are violating the basic medical ethic of do no harm and the principle of giving the highest quality healthcare. Healthcare providers are never trained to perform FGM, therefore it's not part of their competencies. Another belief is that if a woman is deinfibulated, that is opening the reinfibulation, the closure, type 3, as explained in session 1, the baby would fall out during pregnancy. A healthcare provider can educate and explain that the baby grows inside the uterus and it's the lower part of the uterus, the cervix, that keeps the baby inside. And FGM does not affect the integrity of the cervix. The list continues. Other beliefs are a woman who is not cut cannot become pregnant. Women from parts of the world, it could be responded to explaining that women from parts of the world where FGM is not practiced do become pregnant and deliver healthy babies. Others believe that FGM has health benefits for the baby. As mentioned earlier, there are no health benefits to FGM either to the mother or for the babies. In fact, studies by WHO and others found that babies born to mothers who have specifically type 3 are more likely to need resuscitation at birth and have a higher risk of perinatal death. Another common belief around FGM is that if the clitoris is not removed, it can hurt the baby during delivery. And the health professionals' response, as you all know, the clitoris can cause no harm to the baby or the mother, and there's no evidence of this in any study. And another belief is that if the clitoris is not cut, it will grow and it may look like a male penis. It reminds you, isn't it, of that story of tradition, where they felt that if they don't cut the leg of the girls, they will grow into a tree. So this is almost like a similar story. The response from a medical perspective is that the clitoris is a female sexual organ and anatomical source of sexual pleasure in women, and it stops growing after puberty. So now let's move on to values. So what are values? Values are principles that can guide and motivate people, like honesty, faithfulness, equality. And these values are conveyed within families, but can also be influenced by religion, culture, friends, education, and personal experiences. So individual values can vary within the family, within the peers, and the community at large. So a few examples of values: we have altruism, dependability, integrity, honesty, generosity, courage, family, gratitude. There are many. We all have values and beliefs, and it's important to question them once in a while, to reflect and see what they mean, and if they are based on any evidence, and if they are harmful, beneficial. So specifically for FGM, it's important to think and reflect on your own belief and biases and values around FGM. For instance, if you grow up in a community where FGM is practiced, it's a norm. It's something that is expected and thought of perhaps as part of cleanliness or as a religious rite. It's also important to understand others' beliefs and values. As mentioned before, not everybody has the same values and beliefs like you. You could be in the same family, but you have different perspectives because you're influenced by different thoughts, and we're all individuals. So it's always important not to assume that everybody with you, even your brother or your sister, have the same values and beliefs around an issue. So it's important for areas like FGM is to make sure you understand the other side, their beliefs and their values, and critical that while you are trying to understand other beliefs and values, is to maintain respect, respecting others as they respect you back. And another part of questioning values and belief, you start questioning whether this practice affects rights-based approach to SRH, sexual reproductive health. Is it supporting these rights to health or not? So what is values clarification? It's an approach that helps people clarify their goals, priorities, and values, make decisions, and implement changes in their lives. And it's a value clarification exercise is really a method for you to assist in clarifying values. And so it's really an exercise to make you aware of your own and people's values. And it's really a process. So first you start with recognition of a value problem, and then try to see if you can make an intervention that aims to question and encourage self-reflection. And the process of this self-reflection and questioning is through several activities. It's not a one day job. It could be several hours, several days and months of discussions. And the questioning includes different content areas that can help people answer this issue, this value they have. For instance, if you recall that story of tradition, the old woman kept on asking several questions. For instance, she told them, "Oh, I have seen so many traditions, but I'm not sure about this one. So tell me, does it affect your life?" And then they explained, "Oh, it was, it makes their lives hard. Why do you do that?" And she got a lot of reasons behind it. So it's really about digging and trying to understand the values, the reasons behind, the beliefs behind this tradition, and try to see, the aspects that could affect life with it, or the health, the quality of life and happiness. So the major elements of values clarification exercise has 4 steps really, and you start by selecting a topic, for example, FGM, and you ask a question about it, and then have an activity around it. And make sure, as I mentioned, those other principles, of trying to, first of all, reflect on your own values and your beliefs, and having others reflect on theirs, but maintaining this respect. This is respectful conversation environment, so that people can speak up and don't feel ashamed or be laughed at. And help, and it's a process of where you help members, think through the problem at hand, and you could do that by understanding what they prize or cherish. What is the values around the practice? For example, in FGM, it's about, for example, being beautiful. It's about being clean, and then considering the consequences, the second thing, of various choices in a thoughtful manner. So if for example, you do not do this, what does that mean? And they could say ostracization, this person would be considered clean, her clitoris will continue growing, and also the process also should be, as I mentioned, not just only respectful, but also allow space for people to make their own decisions without any pressure from the people in the group, if it's an activity, or from you as a healthcare provider. So I would like you to take a piece of paper and we'll just do this quick exercise. I'll be reading a list of statements, and you just write if you agree or disagree or you're uncertain about it and explain why. So there's no right or wrong answers. It's how you feel about the statement. So the first one, if a tradition is very old and most people approve of it, is it better not to question it? It is better not to question it. This is one. The second, FGM is an essential part of culture. Do you agree, disagree, or are you uncertain, and explain why? Is FGM a religious obligation? Do you agree, disagree, uncertain, and why? Doing FGM in a hospital is more hygienic and less painful for the girl. Do you agree, disagree, or uncertain of this? And why? Some minor forms of FGM are not harmful. Again, do you agree, disagree, or uncertain, or explain why? If you feel I am a bit fast, you could always pause the video and just calmly write down and respond to these statements. We move on to the second exercise. Again, just a few statements and how you feel about them. Healthcare providers should never deliberately harm their patients. Agree, disagree, or uncertain, and explain why. Girls who do not undergo FGM are not respectable. In life, it's important to remain open to change. Girls who do not undergo FGM are not respectable. FGM is a health issue. Again, I have to emphasize here, when you are reading out statements that have values around it, and not to bias people and let them feel free, do not read the sentence like you've already judged it. So, for example, girls who do not undergo FGM are not respectable, So, I mean, it has to be a really, you read it out in a sensitive way, in a respectable manner, and as well as not introduce bias so that they don't see how you feel about these statements. So I'd like to conclude this session by saying that FGM is a tradition. We all know now what a tradition is, that is based on beliefs and values about the practice. Everybody might have their unique sense of beliefs and values around it, so it's important to check in with them. Understanding traditions, beliefs, and values around FGM is an important step in changing harmful practices. You cannot assume that the person you're sitting next to or the person with you at home has the same beliefs and values around it. It's always important to understand and check in if there is any way for a discussion or for change. Also important to be aware of your own belief and value system that can affect how you provide services. For example, people who do not come from communities that perform FGM might have can come out with either shocked or negative stance towards it, and might not be helpful to those who seeking care, feeling embarrassed about it. So be aware of your own belief and value systems when you care for people who are at risk of FGM or have undergone FGM. Always important to explore and discuss belief and value systems with your colleagues, family, and community. Thank you for listening, and see you in the next session. I'd like to just finally acknowledge that this presentation was mainly adapted from WHO Person-Centered Communication for Female Genital Mutilation Prevention. These are a few references that you might find useful for follow-up reading. Thank you.